In today's episode, we're exploring the TrueOffMyChest subreddit, and it's going to be so fun. Very excited for today's episode. I feel like it's going to be a roller coaster. The stuff that we read is definitely going to be entertaining, but also probably concerning and maybe terrifying. I'm not sure yet, but it's going to be an adventure. And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to. And let's get into it. Enjoy, guys. And the first one that we're going to read says, my husband doesn't see how his work wife is trying to destroy our marriage. I, 31 female, am at my wit's end with my husband's 32 male co-worker Sarah, 30 female, and his complete inability to see what's happening. I'm not usually one for Reddit, but I need to know if I'm going crazy here. Where do I even start? 3 years ago, my husband Mark started working with Sarah. At first, I tried to be welcoming. I invited her to our barbecues, included her in group outings, and genuinely tried to be friendly. Big mistake. She spent the entire time making backhanded comments about everything from my career. Oh, you're just a yoga instructor. How peaceful. To my cooking. I guess not everybody can master basic seasoning. The real problem is that Mark thinks she's just being funny. Yeah, you've got a husband problem. Last month, she literally threw away the anniversary mug that I gave him because it clashed with the office aesthetic. When I got upset, Mark said that I was being too sensitive and that Sarah just has high standards for office decor. Nah. It was a mug with our wedding photo on it. Some of the greatest hits from Sarah. She scheduled a mandatory work dinner on our anniversary. She convinced Mark not to take a promotion because it would mean working with a different team. She posts daily photos of them together with hashtags like work power couple and work spouse. Yeah, a good husband wouldn't let this happen, OP. She tells everybody at their office that she takes better care of him than I do. She changed his coffee order and now tells everybody that she trained him right. The worst part? My husband is completely blind to all of this. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. Yesterday, he actually told me about how Sarah said that our new house, which we spent months searching for, was charming in a starter home kind of way. He repeated this while laughing. I tried talking to him about it, but Sarah has convinced him that I'm just insecure. She was able to insert himself into every aspect of our lives. They're texting constantly, even on weekends. She knows his schedule better than I do. She rearranged his entire desk and office wardrobe because his style was too suburban husband. That's what he is. Last week, I suggested marriage counseling. He looked genuinely confused. He, of course, went to talk to Sarah about it, and I found out from another co-worker that she's been telling people that Mark and I are having a rough patch, and that she's just being a good friend by giving him somebody to talk to. We weren't going through anything until she started this nonsense. The breaking point? I stopped by his office to surprise him with some lunch. I know, but it was his birthday and Sarah was supposedly out sick. Guess who was there? Sarah. She'd miraculously recovered and bought him a cake that said, "To my work hubby," with a photo of them from the office holiday party. She saw me and said, "Oh, Amy, you came too. How nice. Mark, you didn't tell me that your real wife was coming." I'm not crazy, right? This woman is trying to destroy my marriage while my husband stands there grinning like it's all some big joke. What do I do? Divorce seems extreme, but I'm running out of options here. Edit to Wade, I should have stated that the promotion wasn't one that would increase his salary, but his title. It would give him more leadership experience. It still blows my mind that he turned it down just so that he could stay on the same team as her. Edit to Wade. Also, I should have told the mug story in its entirety. She accidentally broke the mug. I noticed it was gone when I was visiting him one day, and I asked him about it. He said that she accidentally knocked it over, and then later he repeated a joke that she made about how it didn't fit the office aesthetic. Oh, this is terrible. 100% the top comment. Sarah wouldn't be able to sabotage your marriage if your husband wasn't allowing it. The comment below that, you have a husband problem. Go to counseling and get professional help to communicate your concerns. Remind him that he's married to you, not Sarah, so her opinion should not matter when it comes to your marriage. Good luck, but be prepared for the worst. Yeah, the amount of disrespect here is unbelievable. I'd be leaving him for sure if I were you, OP. Also, I'm sorry that the lighting is so dramatic. I had to shut the blinds in here. Yeah, the comment below that one. Your husband totally knows what's happening and is just ignoring you. Time to get counseling or time to think about whether the marriage is worth it. I'm a guy and this screams him enjoying having two girls fawning over him. There's just no chance in hell that he doesn't know the other girl is wanting him. Also, turning down the promotion is mental. Yeah, like the comment below that says, I'm sorry, but your husband isn't oblivious to what she's doing. He just doesn't care. He's putting her feelings over yours. This isn't going to end well if it's not stopped. There are 2 updates here, so I'll read them in a second. But yeah, after this level of disrespect, I would not be fighting for a relationship with this guy. Like, you can have your work wife, dude. Update. Hi, I31 female posted a few days ago. I really didn't expect my post to blow up the way that it did. I got so overwhelmed by all the comments that I haven't responded to any. I want to address everybody who thinks it's fake. I understand why you think that, but it's my personal hell. I only listen to Reddit stories on TikTok, but when this reached its boiling point, I just needed a place to talk. So I made an account and I tried to yell into the void. Well, the void turned out to be less empty than I thought. Now to why everybody's here, the update. Before I talked to my husband, 32 male, I decided to do some investigation. I started with his phone and I read all the messages between him and Sarah. She badmouthed me a few times. He did nothing to defend me but didn't engage either. She was flirty. He wasn't really flirty back. They talked a lot and he praised her frequently for her work ethic and intelligence. I didn't see anything about cheating. I checked his email, nothing. I checked his work email, nothing. I looked through our other devices, nothing. I searched high and low for a second phone, nothing. Everything I found was always dancing that line. Nothing was outright cheating, but here are the things I found that did hurt my feelings. He was at lunch with her and only her every day in the office. They don't really like anybody else, so they'll criticize others and say, let's talk more at lunch. They're surfing XYZ today. He'd say stuff like, I'm sure if you were my wife, you would XYZ. He always kept it as a wife and not my wife, but it still upsets me. She admitted to breaking the mug on purpose. He didn't get upset with her. He just said, yeah, the photo gifts are kind of corny. Get rid of him. I confronted him. I laid it all out, and while he wasn't upset, he did try to brush things off. He said that I was being sensitive and overreacting. Oh my God. I told him that if we didn't have a real conversation about this, I'm filing for divorce. That got his attention and he sat down with me. He admitted that at first he found it odd that Sarah was trying so hard. He saw her trying hard with all the men in the office. The more attention she gave him, the more he enjoyed it, and the more he responded, the more attention she gave, until she just had her sights on him. He knew some of the other men were envious, and he liked that too. He admitted that eventually he just got too deep. He said that he knew that it was wrong, but he'd gotten addicted to the attention and didn't want her to move on to another man, so he indulged her sometimes at my expense. He said that it was just nice to have two women in the two major parts of his life, stating that he knew that we'd rarely see one another, so what was the harm? He reiterated that he never ever physically cheated, but admitted that it could be called an emotional affair. It was painful, I won't hide that, I mean really painful. Like I wasn't enough. I told him that from this point on, he needed to stop communicating with Sarah and asked to be transferred or switch jobs altogether. Now folks, I mean it when I tell you this, he lost his crap. Please get rid of him, oh my God. He began raising his voice, saying stuff like he never cheated, it was all above board, and I couldn't control who he talked to at work. He called me a narcissist and a control freak. OP, if you don't dump his ass, I'm going to be very disappointed. He told me that I had no idea how hard it was, how much stress he had in the office, and that his personal relationship with Sarah helps a lot. Taking it away would just damage his mental health. It got so bad that I started crying. I couldn't take it anymore and I decided to leave. I packed a small bag and I called my mother-in-law. She's the only family that I've got here. I gave her a rundown of what was going on and she offered her home to me. I'm staying here and just hoping that my husband calms down so that we can revisit this. I want to work it out. I love him more than anything. I will try harder to answer comments on this post and I'll definitely update if something new happens. This has been really therapeutic and it makes me feel less alone. Yeah, I feel so sorry for OP that they have to deal with this. But like this comment said, an emotional affair is still an affair. He just doesn't want to admit that he's having an affair. And the comment above that says typical emotional affair response. He doesn't want it to change and he's mad that you're holding him to his marriage vows. Emotional affairs are always a slippery slope. Most of the time they end up a physical affair. He's damaging his marriage and he's so selfish. He's justifying his actions and turning it around on you so that it'll relieve his shame and guilt. Read the book Not Just Friends by Shirley Glass. It's an eye-opener. And the top comment says, "Welp, I kind of figured that he wasn't that clueless. This is a full-blown emotional affair. From experience, things will only escalate until they're in bed together. Protect your peace because he sure doesn't give a damn about your feelings. Stay strong." The comment below that says, "OP, I mean this gently and kindly. Why do you want to work it out with this man? He's choosing her over you. He let you pack a bag and leave. He does not want to give her up. You deserve better than this cheater. Please recognize that and file for divorce. Don't settle for second best. Just waiting for him to eventually bang his work wife? That's where this is headed. Yeah, all of this is so unbelievably gross." Yeah, and like this comment said, your husband just showed you who's more important. His affair partner. He didn't care if she insulted you because you're not his number one. But you tried to usurp her place? Now he gets defensive. I know this is going to be tough, but the relationship's over. You deserve a much better partner. Oh, and if he does get physical with her, he'll blame you for pushing him into it. Then when she's done with him, she'll drop him because it's no longer exciting. Don't wait around for that to happen. There is a second update here. here. Update 2. Well, I'm back. First, I want to address some of the negative comments. To all the people saying that they're Team Sarah and hoping that Sarah and my husband get together, I even saw a nasty comment saying Sarah and my husband would be the office power couple. How can you sit here and say nothing's going on? You claim that my husband didn't cheat and I'm being crazy, yet in the same breath wish that they would get together. You're contradicting yourself because deep down you know something romantic was developing. Now for the update. My husband came to my mother-in-law's house. She didn't call him. He knew that I was there because I told him, and he said that he wanted to talk. Some big things happened in such a short time. He wanted to explain. According to my husband, after I left he started to reflect. He did call his mum and they had a long talk. I didn't know any of this. She asked him if he was happy with me, and he said yes, but I made him extremely happy. I was a good wife and a great partner. That's when it all kind of sunk into him that he was being juvenile for wanting attention from another woman. I did ask him why he always brushed things off and never took action before. He said that he couldn't explain it. It just felt good. He assured me that he never wanted to sleep with her and never advanced things that way. It was just nice having somebody around who was fawning over him like a fan. For those who said that he didn't know what an emotional affair was and was just agreeing with me, you were right. He admitted that he didn't really understand what an emotional affair was, but after looking it up, he agreed that's what it was, though unintentional. He said that he didn't want to lose his friend, so he went along with a lot of what she did. He admitted that he was deep into a fog, but me leaving in this conversation with his mum was the one thing that brought him out of it. He said that he didn't want to fight. My husband is big on giving me my own space, so when I left he didn't chase after me because he thought it'd be best for us to cool down and think about this and hopefully come back and discuss it more rationally. He did reach out to Sarah, though they didn't meet in person. They had a phone call. He told her they couldn't remain close, that their out-of-office texts and calls needed to stop, that he would get a replacement mug that she wasn't to touch, and that they needed to cut back on their lunches. He wanted to handle this before talking to me to show that he was serious. Sarah didn't take it well. She started berating me, saying that I was forcing him to do this. My husband stopped her and said no, he was doing this because his marriage was important. He admitted letting things go too far, but clarified that he had no romantic interest in her. He told her if she had feelings for him, she needed to distance herself immediately. Sarah ended up ruining the friendship herself. Though my husband was willing to maintain a more distant friendship, her comments about me and him claiming that she'd never want him and that everything she did was because she knew that we weren't meant to be together and she was trying to open his eyes. He said that he couldn't believe that he'd never seen how vindictive and how awful she was. She was nearly venomous. It didn't end well. After handling that situation, he came to see me, wanting to ensure that I knew he understood that I was taking the proper steps. He said that we could do whatever I needed. I know some of you will say that I'm wrong, that divorce is the only option because he had an emotional affair. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I'm not divorcing my husband. I told him that we needed counseling for both of us. Yeah, going through all of his devices and emails and texts might have been extreme. He agreed that it felt like a breach of privacy, but understood given the circumstances. I told him that we both need to work on things. As of right now, I guess you could say that we're separated. We're not staying in the same house and we're gonna attend counseling. I don't want to just jump back into things with him. I don't want it to seem like it was okay to make me feel like I was the second option, to ignore all of those red flags and to brush me off. This has to be worked on. I'm leaving his mother's house and staying with a friend. I'm not sure if anybody's going to want an update after this. I'm sorry that it's so anticlimactic. Sorry, it's the typical, oh, you just got back together. I mean, it is, but it isn't. I love my husband. I know he loves me. I don't think everything's an end-all be-all. Yes, it's a terrible situation. Yes, he did a terrible thing, but I want my marriage to last, so we're giving it another go. I hope this is my last update, but if it's not, y'all will know. Thank you for the messages and all the support. It's really been a huge help. Yeah, all the best to OP. This one is so sad. Okay, post number 2 says, I dined and dashed last night because the service was so bad. Having worked in customer service for so many years, I've got a great leniency for when things go wrong, but last night just broke me. I ordered a cocktail, an appetizer being chips and dip, and my entree being a steak. After I got my cocktail, it was 40 minutes until anybody came by my table again. I saw my server serving the table adjacent to mine, and they got their food. However, he wouldn't even look in my direction, so I couldn't even get his attention. Now, I wouldn't mind a wait as I understand that the kitchen gets backed up or whatever, but for 40 minutes at least communicate something, or ask if I want another drink for sake. When my food finally did arrive after 40 minutes, it was just my entree, no appetizer. I reminded them and they would bring it over, but at that point I was already checked out. I ate what I could finish as I got full, and then I waited for them to come by again, as I wanted the check and a to-go box. However, at this point I realized they simply wouldn't be coming back at all. So I said screw it, and I straight up left. I was seriously so pissed off at this point. I never in my life would dine and dash, but they pissed me off so much last night. I love how this one is completely different to the last one that we read. This comment comment says, as a surfer, I would have done the same. The comment below that says, so you waited almost 2 hours for food. I would have gone long ago. And the top comment says, this happened to us, got our drinks and the surfer ghosted us. After 35 minutes drinking soda that was now gone and no order taken, we were too hungry to stay. So I got up and I told another waitress I found that we were leaving. We waited too long and still not have ordered or seen our surfer. Wanted to pay for the sodas. She said, don't worry about it. So we went down the street and ate at Black Bear Diner. We had our food in 15 minutes. Okay, the next one that we're going to read says, my husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone and refuses to explain why. My husband is 43 and I'm 31. We've been married for 7 years and have a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. My husband left our children alone and he refuses to admit it or tell me where he was. I'm furious, enraged, and my husband keeps on telling me that I'm making a big deal about nothing. This just happened this weekend. I'm on the board of directors for a local non-profit organisation. I had to attend an event for that organisation this past Saturday, and I was gone for most of the day. My husband was supposed to be home with our kids. I texted him a few times and he responded. When I called around midday, he didn't respond, but that's not very unusual. Shortly after that, I got a call from his mum. She said that my son had just called her, and when she asked him what he and his sister were doing, he said they were both watching TV. When she asked where their dad was, he said that his dad wasn't there. My mum asked him several other questions, and from my son's responses, she believed that he was telling the truth and that my husband wasn't there and that there was no adult there at all. She said that he didn't seem scared to be alone or worried about where his dad was at. He just called it a chat. He's got a tablet designed for children that has pre-programmed contacts that he can call. It's only a few people, family members. I left the event immediately and I began texting and calling my husband repeatedly. He didn't respond to my first several attempts. It took him about 10 minutes. I was halfway home at that point to respond. I was so confused and so worried and really mad, and I asked him where he was. He said that he was at home. I told him that our son had just told his grandmother that he was home alone with his baby sister watching TV about 15 minutes ago. My husband denied it, and I told him that I was too upset to talk and drive. When I got home, I checked on the kids right away and they were fine. I asked my husband again, where was he? He said that he was home the entire time. He doesn't know what our son was talking about, but he must have been confused since he'd gone to the basement to do some laundry. I ran down to the basement. It was the same load of laundry that I'd thrown in the dryer the night before. He didn't do any laundry when I was gone. I asked my husband why my son would be confused about whether his dad was home or not. Where in our home would he have gone, and for how long for our son to think that his dad wasn't home? That doesn't make sense with a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. You wouldn't leave them unattended that long. Why was he nowhere to be found when my mum asked my son to go check certain areas of the house? I begged my husband to just admit it, to stop treating me like an idiot, and to stop accusing our son of lying. Just tell me the truth, because being lied to right to my face is so incredibly maddening. He insists that he was home, but he can't come up with any believable story of where he was at or what he was doing during that time. The way that he answers me when I ask him about this and demand truthful answers is so dismissive. When I tell him you left our children alone, he quickly says, no, I didn't. So anyway, he says that I'm overreacting and letting our son's imagination drive me crazy. I'm convinced that he was gone. We don't have a ring camera, but at least one of our neighbors does. I'm so upset about this that I'm tempted to ask our neighbor for the ring footage. I had to go out to my car and scream and cry because I got so upset. Of course, I didn't want my kids to see my reaction. I can't put into words how upset I am about the fact that I know he must have really left them alone, but I have no proof. And I'm being treated like I'm a paranoid nutcase of a mother and woman. Okay, so we do have an update. I'm kind of scared to read it. Update. Last weekend, my husband left our 5-year-old and our 9-month-old home alone while I was gone, and then refused to admit it or provide a plausible explanation. Since then, we've had many arguments about it. I've been living in a constant state of anger and frustration. I didn't want to fight about it anymore, but I couldn't help it and I kept on bringing it up again and again. I couldn't lay low and pretend to get over it while I waited for him to do it again and catch him in whatever's going on. I also knew that demanding he tell me the truth wasn't going to get me anywhere, since he'd been refusing to talk and deflecting for days. All it was doing was making me angry, and I feel like I was about to have a brain aneurysm. I told him to hand me his phone so I could check his location at the time. He refused. He said he wouldn't do it and that would be a violation of his privacy. He won't be treated that way and refuses to give in to my delusions. You think I enjoy being in a situation where I have to beg my husband to show me his phone so that I can see where he was at? I hate it. I don't want to live this way. I told him it's simple. If he was really at home the entire time, prove it. Why wouldn't he want to clear this whole thing up? I got so mad that he wasn't going to turn over his phone that I told him I was going to go to the neighbors to get their doorbell footage. At first he was like, fine, go do it. He didn't actually think I would. He knows I don't like to air drama to others, so he probably figured that I'd just swallow all of this crap. Luckily, I was totally being driven by anger at this point, so nothing was going to stop me from going to the neighbors. When I actually started to go out the door, he tried to stop me and followed me out the door. I felt pure anger rushing through my veins, nothing else. The neighbor, who I've probably said less than 10 words to in the entire time we've lived here, told me that he'd send me the footage. I went home, told my husband that the neighbor didn't have the footage from that day anymore, and I told him I needed to go to the store and cool off. So I put the kids in the car and I went and parked somewhere while I waited for the neighbor to send me the footage. I've got the neighbor's number now too, and he told me that if I need any more footage, he'll be happy to give it to me. The video shows a blue car that I don't recognize show up and park in our driveway. A blonde woman gets out of the car and goes towards my house. She walks on the outside of our garage towards the gate leading to our backyard. The gate's too far back and out of the way to be seen on the doorbell footage. She and her car was there for 23 minutes. Imagine that, the car leaves right around the time that my husband called me to say that he was home, and that he had been home the entire time, all while I was rushing home in a panic and calling him on repeat. One of the two possibilities as to where they went: she either came in the side door of the house, which does provide direct access to the basement, or, and what I think is more likely, they were in the backmost area of our yard, which is a gated pool area. Immediately behind our house is a grass lawn, then you step down a few steps and we have a patio, and then there's a fully gated area where the pool is. It's not like you think of when you picture a gated pool. It's a full 6-foot wood fence all the way around, plus even taller landscaping for more privacy. You can't see into there at all unless you're inside. I think it's more likely that they were back there, because my son said that his dad's keys were gone, and we keep that gate locked with a key. The pool's shut for winter, but there is one small building back there, sort of like a shed that we converted into somewhere that you can change, and there's a covered patio that has furniture. I'm convinced that's where they were. So technically he was home, but somewhere totally removed from the house, and where he couldn't see or hear the kids if something happened. I asked him how he could explain this. What were they doing? I obviously don't need him to tell me what they were doing, but for some reason I still had hope that he'd finally be honest. He wasn't contrite. He showed no remorse. He was like, yeah, she was here, but I obviously never left. Who's she? How long's this been going on? And if he's going to be such a disgusting, despicable excuse of a man, then why wouldn't he at least have found any other time and any other lie or excuse besides than when he was home alone with our kids? I told him that I know this had happened before, and I demanded to know how many times he's done this when he's been home alone with the kids. He swears this is the only time, but he still doesn't have the balls to confess what they were doing. I don't believe him that this was the only time. I still have so many questions, and I still feel like my heart is beating 200 times a minute. My blood pressure is through the roof. I've cried a lot, sobbed and begged for somebody to help me, yelled and screamed, ordered a bunch of books about divorce and custody. And you know what? The next day, after our multiple explosive fights, him putting his hands on me and me seeing the evidence, he acted like everything was totally normal and like none of that stuff ever happened. I woke up still seething, exhausted, broken, and he's acting like everything's totally normal. He said that he was ordering breakfast to be delivered from our favorite breakfast place. He asked if I wanted to go to the store together later and try this new recipe for chili tonight. Why would I want to do any of these things with you? Absolutely no acknowledgement of anything he's done or what's transpired between us in the past few days. He deserved an Oscar for how well he's been able to act like none of that happened. Completely comfortable and non-fazed. I know it's a waste of energy, but I desperately want him to admit the full truth of what he did that day and any other day with this woman. I want to hear it from him. It won't change whatever he's done, but he could at least have the respect and decency to be honest now that he's been caught. That's a ridiculous thought though, right? How foolish of me to expect this man to show decency and honesty now. If he was a decent and honest man, then he wouldn't have had a strange woman over to our house and been out of sight from our kids for 23 minutes. His continued denial and refusal to admit anything other than the bare minimum, his attitude like I'm somehow being controlling or infringing on his rights by asking for information, that's almost more hurtful than him cheating on me. There is a comment here from OP regarding that bit where they said that he put his hands on OP, and it says he grabbed my arm to stop me from going to the neighbors. He did not hit me. But yeah, like the top comment says, OP, he's not being honest and won't be honest. Even if he is, what would that even give you? OP, you know what he's doing. You don't need him to spell it out for you. Put yourself and your children first. And the audacity of this guy too, like, oh, do you want to try a new chili recipe tonight? The comment below that one says, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Unfortunately, you won't get anything from him. If I were you, I'd channel that anger into a plan to take your kids and leave. He will never say that he left his kids in a dangerous situation to cheat on you. You know it's what happened. He knows it's what happened, and it will continue. Make no mistake. The comment below that says, this might be a harsh way to say things, so forgive me, but you'll never receive closure from this man. He's treated you as if nothing he did was wrong, and that's because at the end of the day, you don't really matter to him. Lawyer up and then get yourself and your children away from this guy ASAP. The next one says, I've been hiding a secret from my wife. At work, they started getting us cupcakes every Friday. Everybody gets to have only one. I never eat mine so that I can give it to my wife. She doesn't know that we only get one each. She just thinks that I eat mine at work and bring her an extra one or something, and I'll never tell her. I want her to enjoy it peacefully. She has a sweet tooth, but we can't justify buying snacks currently, so we haven't had treats in a while. I love seeing her reaction when I whip out the almost squish muffin. It's really sweet. Sometimes she'll unintentionally do this cute little dance. I think it's the one joy in her life right now. I love her so much and it makes me so happy seeing her like that, so I'll probably take it to my grave. Oh, that's so beautiful. We needed a wholesome one so bad. That is so unbelievably cute. You mean you love each other and you're not cheating on each other and stuff? Amazing. That's so beautiful. I love when people do like a really serious title to one of these, but it turns out to be like super cute. I've been hiding a secret from my wife. You would probably imagine that they were going to say that they were like having an affair or something based on like every other post on here. But no, they've been saving muffins for their wife. That is so beautiful. This comment says, every time my husband gets up to leave for work, I wake up to him covering me back up with the blankets. Then he kisses me on the forehead, whispers I love you, and then heads out to make his coffee. I sleep hot, so the second that he shuts the door, I take the covers back off. Not once in 24 years have I told him that I was too hot for the blankets. I never will. I absolutely love that small, sweet, caring gesture, and I fully intend to cherish it until I die. Great husbands like you guys are far too rare. That is so unbelievably cute. Okay, let's move on. The next one is probably going to be horrifying. Hopefully not. You're not even going to believe the title of this post. I caught my husband having sex with his mistress in the car with our baby in the back seat. Nah. After the cute one that we just read, my husband and I have been married for almost 10 years. We have 3 kids, 5, 3, and 9 months. Around 2.5 years ago, I discovered that he was having an affair that had been going on for around 6 months. We separated for some time. I went to therapy. We went to marriage counseling. We took about 10 months apart and supposedly working on ourselves and working on our marriage before officially getting back together. During that official reunion phase, we surprise conceived our youngest. Until very recently, my husband had seemed very committed to fixing what he'd destroyed in our marriage. He was jumping through all the hoops, or so I thought. Believe me, I read the books and I followed the rules and I made all the demands, and he did everything he was asked to do. It wasn't always smooth sailing. He would push back sometimes. He got defensive. We argued. It hurt a lot. But I truly believed that we were continuing our path of overcoming what he'd done. I felt like our relationship was strong. For the first time in our entire relationship, I felt like we were finally operating as a team. I can't say that my full trust in him ever completely returned, but I was dealing with this in therapy. We were dealing with it. It was okay for me to not trust 100% yet, and we both understood it was a process, and trust had to be replenished piece by piece. I lived with this and I continued to work on it. Recently, I started to feel suspicious in a way that I couldn't ignore. Like he was being too nice to me, too attentive, too willing to be of service for whatever I wanted or needed. That was actually the first thing that tipped me off. He was being too good of a husband. Then I realized he was doing things that he never really did before, offering to do the big grocery shopping trips, taking the kids to new parks, running to pick up food on the occasion that we ordered out. He always opted to have food delivered and could never be bothered to go pick it up. Little things, but they were big changes to me. Now his work schedule supposedly changed. No longer does he get home as early as he used to. I really tried not to be paranoid about it all, but it was driving me crazy. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore, so I followed him. I followed him when he took our 9-month-old baby with him to go run several household errands. Under the guise of allowing me to relax, I found him with the woman that he previously cheated on me with, her on top of him in the driver's seat having sex, and our baby was in the back seat. He did that with his mistress with our baby right there. Beyond disgusting. If he wanted to use the excuse of running errands to go meet up with her, he didn't have to take the baby too. It's gross. He knew that he was going to meet up with her for sex. Why would he take the baby? He said the baby was asleep in the rear-facing car seat and has no clue what's going on. It's no different than we do it in our bedroom with the baby asleep in our room. How dare he compare to what he was doing with her to that? I set an emergency appointment with my therapist. I was seeing red or beyond red, black, all black. Somehow I came out of that appointment even more mad. I just wanted to rage and she kept on trying to talk me down. And damn it, I don't want to be talked down right now. I don't want to be calm and rational. I want to scream and hit things and break things and destroy his life. I'll be honest, I'm only posting this here so that I can get to the required account Agent Karma to post it in the infidelity group that I was actually trying to post it in. I don't know where else to go, where I can commiserate on all the different ways I can destroy him now. That's all I want to do right now. Oh my god, that was so wild. The top comment says, first go to a lawyer, get your documents and all that's yours, tell your family and support so that he can't twist this crap. This relationship is over. I don't even know what to say. That's one of the most revolting things I feel like we've read in a long time. And at this point, I feel like we read revolting stuff in every episode episode. Disgusting. This comment says he took the baby so that you wouldn't be suspicious, because taking a baby with you to do that isn't something anybody would think of. Get divorced. I've been there. My baby from that scenario is now grown. I did get divorced and I don't regret it. Like, what a piece of garbage. Like, this comment says, that's horrific. I'm so sorry. Yes, so horrific. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, we need to read something wholesome. That was a good episode on the subreddit, but I feel like that's enough for today. I don't know if I could read any more today, like emotionally. I've got 2 cute wholesome memes to read. If your soul is hurting, hug a cat. Oh yeah, please. Oh, they're so beautiful. Anytime that I'm sad about anything, I give Nez a hug, and it really does help. Cats are so unbelievably perfect. And also this one too. I found this little gem. Moral of the story, you can have a few rotten years and still thrive. Yeah, damn right you can. Just because it sucks at the moment doesn't mean that it's always gonna suck. I feel absolutely wrecked after what we've read today. Emotionally, it's such a roller coaster. And yeah, definitely a fun episode, but also definitely a terrifying episode. And the comment of the day goes to Charity27. I audibly yelled, Vincey's back, when I saw the thumbnail. Congrats on getting the new camera. It looks great. Oh, Charity, thank you so much. That means so much to me. You audibly yelled, Vincey's back. Thank you for the support. That means so much to me. And it feels so good to be back. I love making videos and I'm so happy that you guys enjoy them too. I'm sorry if today's episode was a little bit short. I was going to read another story, but that last one that we read was too much. And the second that we finished it, I was like, okay, that's enough for today. But yeah, I'll do another episode on here super soon for sure. Okay, I'm out of here. Make sure you look after yourself, everybody, and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!